With the Candy Cove expansion, 4 new coastal confectioners join the party, each with their own unique powers and components. Cora comes with a coral storage bin which allows her to clear all candy from patches at the start of their turn, placing them in the storage. This candy can be used just like regular candy for purchasing and for scoring at the end of the game. Nept comes with a special stand for their second sugar sprite. When placing this sugar sprite, you get to activate the retrieval bonus of the patch you place it on. Sia comes with a special die that is rolled at the start of each turn. They then gain the associated candy, which can then be used on that turn for purchasing patches, harvesters, or working on concoction cards. Though if that candy is not used that turn, it is lost. Finally, Maro comes with their own personal harvester that can be placed on a turn for free. Additionally, at the start of each turn, Maro can move a harvester to any available patch when normally harvesters can never be moved. These new characters add more variety to the candy craze and can be used with any confectioners from the base game of Dreadful Meadows. In Dreadful Meadows, players are creepy, crawly, sometimes corporeal confectioners building candy meadows where they'll be harvesting their candy to fulfill concoction contracts. Each player will play as a confectioner who has a special power. On their turn, a player may do one of 4 actions. They may buy patches of candy to add to their meadow. There are 5 kinds of patches that make candy: gummy globs, phantom mallows, treacle teeth, pumpkin pops, and dreadful trees. Each patch and candy is worth the amount shown on their patch, either 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. When you buy a patch, you will choose one from the market, paying the cost on the patch plus any amount below that. And you will then add it to an adjacent patch in your meadow. You pay with the candy that you've grown in your meadow. So if I wanted this treacle teeth patch, I would need to pay 4, 3 for the patch and 1 for the extra cost below. Phantom Mallow candy is worth 2 and Gummy Glob candy is worth 1, so I could turn in 1 Phantom Mallow and 2 Gummy Globs to pay for this patch. The next action you may take is placing one of your sugar sprites. These will go onto an empty patch in your meadow, and each adjacent candy patch next to the placed sprite will gain a candy of its type. So if I place my sprite here, I would gain 1 pumpkin pop, 1 treacle teeth, and 1 gummy glob. I wouldn't gain this pumpkin pop here because there is already a candy there and a patch can't have 2 candy. The next thing you may do is purchase a harvester. Harvesters must be placed on a patch that is surrounded on all 4 sides, though they may not be placed on dreadful tree patches. The tree takes up all the room. The cost of the harvester is equal to the cost of the 4 adjacent patches. So to place a harvester here, you will have to pay 15 worth of candy. Harvesters are great because when you place a sprite down to harvest candy, if the placed sprite is adjacent to a harvester, you also harvest candy around that harvester. They will also generate points at the end of the game. The last action you may do is to retrieve your sprites. You may bring back as many as you want, and every sprite retrieved will gain a bonus depending on which patch they were on. If they are pulled off a Gummy Glob patch, you will gain 1 candy of your choice and immediately place it on a concoction card. If pulled off a Phantom Mallow patch, you will immediately place 2 Phantom Mallow candy on that patch, breaking the 1 candy per patch rule. If pulled off a Treacle Teeth patch, you will gain a random patch out of the bag and will place it normally. If pulled off a Pumpkin Pop, you will place a Sugar Sprite onto a different patch, harvesting normally. And finally, if pulled off a Dreadful Tree, you will gain the top card of the concoction deck. Let's talk about these concoctions. Anytime during your turn, you may place candy on your concoction cards from your meadow. Once they are full with the correct types of candy, you will flip it over and it will be worth either 3, 6, or 9 points at the end of the game. Note that Dreadful Tree candy is wild and can replace any candy on a concoction card. The game can end in 3 ways: if there are no more patches in the bag, if there's only 1 harvester left, or if all concoction cards have been taken. Then players will score. They will score points for their concoction cards, and their harvesters will score points equal to the value of the patch that they're sitting on. And every cluster of patches, that is a group of the same patches together like this, will gain 1 point per patch in that cluster for every harvester in that cluster. Note that this does not include the patch the harvester is on. So this cluster has 1 harvester in it and 5 other patches, so it will be worth 5 points. Note that Dreadful Meadow patches are wild and will count towards every cluster that they're adjacent to. And lastly, every 5 value of candy in your meadow scores 1 point. And at the end of scoring, the confectioner with the most points will win.